Before we get started, I would appreciate if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.
It's our money. We are the ones. It's our currency.
In this video, we are going to talk about the top 10 things everyone in the world should know and understand about their fiat currency, money. These top 10 things, unfortunately, are not taught to us at school, and we really have to learn about it ourselves. Through school, education, media, and society, we are taught that money is fiat currency, and we should study in order to get a good job, good income, and work to earn lots of money. Money, money, money. We simply can't get enough of it. The irony, I know. Most of us then spend it when we have it. Some save it, smart people invest it, but nearly everyone doesn't understand it or knows very little about it. So let's get started. What are the 10 things everyone should know about their money? Number 1, currency has no intrinsic value. Paper currency has no intrinsic value unless you think linen, cotton, or polymer, some of the materials used to make currency, is worth much. Otherwise, all currency really is just an image of a dead person with a number and some security features embedded onto a paper note. Where is the actual value in any of that? There isn't any. In reality, a face value of £20 should have no more purchasing value than a face value of £10 or £5, because intrinsically they are all made from the same worthless materials, just with different numbers printed on them. Just think about it. Here are some Zimbabwean dollars that I have that were once legal tender. One is worth billions, the other is worth trillions, and I am still broke because they are intrinsically worthless, despite their printed face values, which are meaningless. Back when currency was backed by gold and could be redeemed for gold, it had intrinsic value, as it represented gold holdings. Today, the United States dollar is the world's reserve currency, held by many countries, and it is backed by absolutely nothing of value, except debt. Number 2, currency has an infinite supply. Currency has no end to its supply. There is no limit, no cap. It has an unlimited supply. The Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of America, proudly admits it.
Can you characterize everything that the Fed has done this past week as essentially flooding the system with money?
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that?
There is no end to our ability to do that.
The Federal Reserve are constantly pumping money into the system, and now even more than ever. They are pumping trillions into the system, and there is no end to their ability to do so. Point number 3. Currency is an extremely poor store of value. Precious metals like gold and silver have been a store of value for thousands of years and still are to this day. They are time-tested, well-established stores of value. This is because of two main reasons: scarcity and demand. Throughout time, gold and silver have been used as money, both having demand whilst being scarce in supply. Their scarcity and limited supply is what retains their value and has made them good stores of value throughout time. Now compare that to your paper currency, money, which has an endless, infinite supply. No matter how much of it you get hold of and save, the unlimited supply that is continuously being pumped into the system just makes whatever you're holding lose its value as time goes by. You would always need to get hold of more currency to make up for the lost value of your savings as a result of all the new money being created. Anyone saving money long term, thinking they are preserving their wealth, is playing a dangerous game. Just ask the Zimbabweans or the Venezuelans what happened to their life savings as a result of all that new money being created. It wiped away their wealth. Fiat currency is really only good for using it to buy assets that have real value in order to protect your wealth and preserve it. Point number 4. Currency is mostly created digitally.
The banks have accounts with the Fed much the same way that you have an account in a commercial bank. So to lend to a bank, we simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account that they have with the Fed. So it's much more akin, although not exactly the same, but it's much more akin to printing money than it is to borrowing.
You've been printing money.
Well, effectively.
He's not kidding about printing money.
Even though money printing still does occur, the vast majority of the money supply is simply created digitally by adding 0.0000000 onto computer screens, into account balances. That is how easy it is to create new money today and rob you of your store of value when you save it, as it has the same effect as printing money into the economy. It is just a convenient and cost-effective way of doing it. Point number 5. Currency is created by private banks, not by the government. Many people may incorrectly assume that government has the responsibility of creating money and controlling the money supply, but they don't. Money is created by private central banks, not by government. For example, the Federal Reserve is the Central Bank of America, and the Bank of England is the Central Bank of the United Kingdom. Private central banks are responsible for issuing currency and controlling the supply. Imagine that private individuals are in control of issuing currency money that everything in the world is valued by. Point number 6. Currency is created from debt. Yes, you heard that right. Your money is created from debt. Every dollar in circulation or as a bank deposit is basically just an IOU, a debt that needs to be repaid back. Those dollars in your pocket or bank account actually belong to the Federal Reserve as debt and need to be repaid back to them. Ever wondered why government around the world have this ever-growing debt problem that they can't seem to control? Or who are they indebted to? Or why are they even in debt to begin with? Well, that is because governments always tend to spend more than they actually earn running on a deficit. To make up for the shortfall, they borrow money from the central banks. So they are in debt way over their heads, drowning in it, to be honest. Central banks also loan money to commercial banks for reserves. Commercial banks then go on to create more money by loaning it out to businesses and private individuals. Money is created through credit. Every time a loan is taken out, be it from government or private individuals, to buy that new car, those loans are actually creating even more new money into the system, further expanding the monetary supply. And to top it all off, all those loans have to be repaid back with interest. Think about it for a second. Money is created by private banks from debt, credit or loans. All the same thing. All that money needs to be paid back to them with interest. Now, since they create the money, where is the money going to come from to ever be able to service the debt plus the interest? Even if we were to return every single dollar in circulation back to the banks and manage to pay back the principal of the debt that is owed, where would the money come from to then pay back the growing interest? You tell me. However, it looks like a never-ending, unsustainable problem given how the monetary system works. Point number 7. Currency's value is solely based on confidence. Once you realize currency has no intrinsic value, has an unlimited supply, it is a really poor store of value, it is created with minimal effort, and it is created by private banks through a system of unsustainable debt, you then begin to wonder what on earth is still giving this trash so much value. And that is confidence. So long as people still have confidence in the purchasing power of their currency, and that it is still going to be accepted by someone else when using it for payment, it maintains its value. However, what happens to the system when confidence in its money crumbles? the system tends to crumble even faster. Again, just look at what happened to Zimbabwe once people lost confidence in their legal tender Zimbabwean dollars. Everyone was a billionaire and it meant nothing. Nobody wanted to accept that currency for payment in the country as they no longer had any confidence in its purchasing power. Point number 8. Currency printing causes inflation, which steals wealth from you.
The beautiful thing about our country is 6.2 trillion, because it is 2.2 plus 4. It's $6.2 trillion, and we can handle that easily because of who we are, what we are. It's our money. We are the ones. It's our currency.
When new money is created into the system and added into the economy, it causes inflation, and at the same time it devalues your currency. Inflation is when prices of goods and services in an economy increases. It is basically a rise in prices, which ultimately means a unit of currency now buys less than it did. Hence, it has been devalued. This devaluation of your currency due to money printing is stealing wealth from you gradually over time. Let's look at some graphs that show the effects of inflation on the British pound over time. So let's look at the UK inflation rate between 1970 to 2020, a period of 50 years, and let's see the effect it has had on a £1,000 of savings. So in 2020, prices are 1,457% higher than average prices since 1970, and the average inflation rate per year during this period was 5.64%, which means the value of a pound has decreased. In 1970, £1,000 purchasing power was equivalent to £15,571 4 pence in 2020. This basically means that if you saved £1,000 from 1970 until today, you would need to have £15,571 in order to have the same purchasing power and adjust for inflation. Inflation is basically the expansion of the monetary supply. Now, that is a difference of £14,571 over 50 years. So what this ultimately means is that inflation has eroded the value of the pound over time. It has caused it to become devalued, debased, and worth less. In this chart, you can see how £1,000 from 1970 to 2020 has lost its purchasing power and is able to buy less each year. If you saved £1,000 from 1970 until 2020, it would have a purchasing power of £60.36. And in order to have the same purchasing power of £1,000 in 1970, you would need to have £15,571 today. And this is how money creation by private banks stealthily and insidiously steals wealth away from everyone saving fiat currency trash. This is why saving currency is for losers. The rich do not save this trash. Instead, they invest it into assets that preserves their wealth, generates them cash flow, and appreciates in capital. It is the poor people, unfortunately, and the majority that save currency for the future, that work hard, multiple jobs, and still do not know what is happening to them. They do not understand why prices are increasing. Why do they have to keep making more money in order to live and get by? They do not understand how our monetary system is designed to keep stealing value from our currency, making people need more and more of it to live, and why saving it and thinking it is a store of value is the worst thing you can do with it in the long run. This is why saving currency is for losers, because in the end, the only people that are actually losing wealth as a result of money creation and inflation are those saving fiat money currencies. Point number 9, currency in the end will return back to its intrinsic worth of zero. In the end, all fiat currency would return back to their real intrinsic worth of zero. This has happened throughout history time and time again, where currencies due to hyperinflation loses all its store of value and is devalued into oblivion, where there is no longer any confidence in the currency by the people anymore. The dollar is no different and is moving in the exact same direction as all the currencies before it in history. The collapse of the dollar, since it is the world's reserve currency, will have a domino effect all around the world, ruining the world economy. When the Zimbabwean dollar, which was the official currency of Zimbabwe from 1980 to 2009, lost its purchasing power due to extensive money printing and hyperinflation, the Zimbabwean central bank announced that the US dollar would be accepted within the country as legal tender. The exchange rate was 1 USD for 35 quadrillion Zimbabwean dollars for every account with balances above 175 quadrillion Zimbabwean dollars. It is madness, right? But the US dollar is not a safe haven itself because it is backed by nothing of real value except debt and credit creation. When that unsustainable debt bubble pops, every country that is holding dollars as a reserve currency would see all their holdings worth nothing, and so would their own currency, which is tied to the dollar, would be affected as well. Point number 10. Currency is one big scam. I don't think at this stage you have to really explain why it is a scam. The fact that everyone is not taught about currency at school and most people go through life not understanding anything about their paper money that they work hard for, that they give up their time for, that they save in a bank for their future, that they pay into a pension scheme all their life for retirement. They do all of this whilst all along their currency is being devalued. It's losing its purchasing power by the day, and their wealth in savings is being wiped away without them being aware of it. People have no idea that their pensions may not even be there for them when they reach the age of retirement, just like their savings. People slave for money, get themselves into interest-bearing debt, whilst the money is just created by private banks every time a new loan is signed. Inflation keeps rising, the cost of living gets expensive each year, the purchasing power of your currency continues to fall. People are gradually becoming poorer, having to work more hours or have multiple jobs just to get by, whilst all along they have no idea the reason behind all of this as they keep chasing the dollar or whatever currency they are working for. It is one big scam that benefits a select few, mostly the rich, but screws over the majority. The rich use fiat trash to invest in assets that generate them income, but the majority uses it to spend and save. Just imagine giving up 70 plus years of your life working for currency that is easily created with an infinite supply that you consider as valuable, but in reality it is an extremely poor store of value and has a history of returning back to its intrinsic value of zero, is a big scam. And this may very well be the reason why nobody is really educated on our monetary policy. Because if everyone was, there would be no confidence in the system. Nobody would accept paper money for goods and services. The banks would be out of business and government would be forced to use a monetary system that cannot be manipulated at will, but based on real sound monetary principles that ensures the protection of our money and its long-term store of value. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so as to not miss my next video. Take care and goodbye.